Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we've moved inside from the courtyard to this nice area, which is air conditioned for one, and nice places to sit. Get some nice cushions. And actually, I'm going to do something, because what we've done is there's a TV in this room which you can project on. I'm just going to turn the camera around to show you what we've done. So you can see we put the Bhagavatam up on the TV so that as we're sitting here, it looks like a kind of a television prompt or something.
I don't know why he did that, but
You gotta keep it exciting, you gotta let people into the world you're in.
right.
Okay, anyway, so
Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 27.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
At text 27, my dear Lotus side, who are those 11 strong bodyguards with you, and who are those 10 specific servants? Who are those women following the 10 servants? And who is the snake that is preceding you? Purport. The 10 strong servants of the mind are the 5 working senses and the 5 knowledge gathering senses. All these 10 senses work under the aegis of the mind. The mind and the 10 senses combine to become 11 strong bodyguards. The hundreds of women under the jurisdiction of the senses are addressed here as La La Na. The mind works under the intelligence, and under the mind are the 10 senses, and under the 10 senses are innumerable desires to be fulfilled. All these, however, depend on the vital life force, which is here represented by the snake. As long as the vital life force is there, the mind works, and under the mind the senses work, and the senses give rise to so many material desires. Actually, the living entity known as Puranjan is embarrassed by so much paraphernalia. All these paraphernalia simply constitutes different sources of anxiety. But one who is surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who leaves all business to him is freed from such anxieties. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advises a person who has taken to the materialistic way of life, which is never permanent but always temporary, to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and leave aside all his so-called responsibilities in order to get free from all anxieties. And leave aside all his so-called responsibilities. So people who are not so mature and a little neophyte could take this advice and ruin theirs and other people's lives. But I just recently met someone that was a little bit preaching like that. It's just me and Krishna, or just me and Guru, and leaving aside obvious responsibilities. So yeah, you have to be careful and basically take shelter of someone, you know, bona fide Guru or senior devotees who can advise you accordingly.
Yeah, that last line is very alluring and interesting, the way it leave aside all his so-called responsibilities in order to get free from all anxieties. Which is interesting because in one sense as a devotee our goal isn't really to get free from anxieties anyway. Our goal is simply to serve Krishna. And if that causes us anxiety, then so be it. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, did I interrupt you again?
No.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's just, but it definitely is alluring for someone in general in the material world suffering anxiety, which most everyone is. So yeah, interesting. Okay. Text 28. My dear beautiful girl. What?
That's what you told me. Up there, please.
My dear beautiful girl, you are exactly like the goddess of fortune, or the wife of Lord Shiva, or the goddess of learning, the wife of Lord Brahma. Although you must be one of them, I see that you are loitering in this forest. Indeed, you are as silent as the great sages. Is it that you are searching after your own husband? Whoever your husband may be, simply by understanding that you are so faithful to him, he will come to possess all opulences. I think you must be the goddess of fortune, but I do not see the lotus flower in your hand. Therefore, I am asking you where you have thrown that lotus. I mean, obviously Paranjan here is really trying to hit up on this young lady. I mean, what did he say? Oh, lotus-eyed, oh, beautiful woman, you know, all these things. You're like the goddess of fortune. Purport. Everyone thinks that his intelligence is perfect. Sometimes one employs his intelligence in the worship of Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva, in order to obtain a beautiful wife. Sometimes when one wants to become as learned as Lord Brahma, he employs his intelligence in the worship of the goddess of learning, Saraswati. Sometimes when one wishes to become as opulent as Lord Vishnu, he worships the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. In this verse, all these inquiries are made by King Puranjan, the living entity who is bewildered and does not know how to employ his intelligence. Didn't really make sense. All these inquiries are made by King Puranjan, the living entity who is... Okay, so King Puranjan represents the living entity who's bewildered and doesn't know how to employ his own intelligence. Intelligence should be employed in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as one uses his intelligence in this way, the goddess of fortune automatically becomes favorable to him. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, never remains without her husband, Lord Vishnu. Consequently, when one worships Lord Vishnu, he automatically obtains the favor of the goddess of fortune. One should not, like Ravana, worship the goddess of fortune alone, for she cannot remain long without her husband. Thus, her other name is Chanchala, or restless. In this verse, it is clear that Puranjan is representing our intelligence while he is talking with the girl. He not only appreciated the shyness of the girl, but actually became more and more attracted by that shyness. He was actually thinking of becoming her husband, and consequently was asking her whether she was thinking of her prospective husband or whether she was married. This is an example of bhogicha, the desire for enjoyment. One who is attracted by such desires becomes conditioned in this material world, and one who becomes conditioned in this material world, and one who is not so attracted attains
I think you're repeating.
Right. This is an example of bhog icha, the desire for enjoyment. One who is attracted by such desires becomes conditioned in this material world, and one who is not so attracted attains liberation. Okay, yeah, important point. King Puranjan was appreciating the beauty of the girl as if she were the goddess of fortune. But at the same time, he was careful to understand that the goddess of fortune cannot be enjoyed by anyone except Lord Vishnu. Since he doubted whether the girl was the goddess of fortune, he inquired about the lotus flower she was not holding. The material world is also the goddess of fortune because the material energy works under the direction of Lord Vishnu. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sachara charam. Okay, so that's it. There's one short paragraph left. So, yes, interesting how Shukadeva Goswami, or I guess at this point specifically Narada Muni, brings into the conversation three powerful and potent ladies. Durga Devi, the wife of Lord Shiva, Saraswati, the wife of Lord Brahma and the goddess of learning. Durga, obviously being the goddess of the material world, material energy. And then Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune and wife of Lord Vishnu. So, yeah, it's interesting, and it's just kind of coming to mind now how beautiful our philosophy and teachings are, that it really strongly involves. Now, just in the previous purport we were reading about the all attractive and distracting nature of the female. And here we see 3 prominent females being mentioned who are all possessors of opulences. Of course, the goddess of fortune, the goddess of learning, and then Durga, the goddess of the material energy. And how people who want to possess those opulences approach those ladies and try to please them like that. Interesting point.
Hi, next paragraph. The material world cannot be enjoyed by any living entity. If one so desires to enjoy it, he immediately becomes a demon like Ravan, Hiranyakashipu or Kamsa. Because Ravan wanted to enjoy the goddess of fortune, Sita Devi, he was vanquished with all his family wealth and opulence. One can, however, enjoy that Maya bestowed upon the living entity by Lord Vishnu. The satisfaction of one's senses and desires means enjoying Maya, not the goddess of fortune. So you immediately become a demon if you want to enjoy the material energy, material world. And mainly because, like for example, the demons that are being cited, Ravan, Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa, there wasn't that they weren't learned, because if you read even like what the verses attributed to them in the Bhagavatam, like I think it was Ravan that Hiranyakashipu. It was either Ravan or Hiranyakashipu. I just pulled out their verses in one of my mentee meetings, and we read them how we normally do. We read and we discuss, and it was really nice. And at the end I said, so who's speaking? And they just couldn't believe that it was one of them. And I said, yeah, exactly. And the thing that's missing is that their connection to Krishna, their favorable attitude towards Krishna. So it's not that we don't, even within the point I was making, even in like a devotional setting, as it were, you can look the part, you can speak the part, you can act the part. It doesn't mean that one is actually desiring or wanting to connect the part, And so it's really important to be vigilant and subtle, as it were, and aware of these things, because otherwise you can get carried away by the wrong association even.
Absolutely. Nice point. And that's a really interesting technique for showing how even transcendental knowledge can be used, can be spoken by persons who are not transcendentally situated exactly. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get that off of you and see those verses that you used and do that sometime as a little exercise with other devotees. Okay, so maybe we conclude here. I think the next purport is a little long also. All right, so Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. Please read the Srimad Bhagavatam yourselves in your own time and share with us if you are reading. Put some messages below. We like to drive interaction with you. And I noticed as I was going through some of the old ones that especially I'd like to thank Dawn and Sally And was there one other?
Sri Devi. Gopi.
Sri Devi. I haven't seen so many things that she's written, but definitely Dawn and Sally. Both of you are so active and just regularly watching. And very grateful to you both. And if you heard me say this thank you to you, please put it down in the comments below and say Hare Krishna. All right, see you all later. Hare Krishna,
Hare
glories to
Krishna.
Prabhupada, Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.